Hey everybody, welcome back to my garden. Today I'm going to be transplanting a rose from my back fence area where it's being shrouded by other plants, which I'm really loving them, but it needs a little more sun and space to sprawl out on its own. So I'm going to be transplanting that to a spot in my front yard where it's going to have room to grow up a trellis. Actually, it's more like a stake with like a hanging basket type thing. But it'll be much happier there. It'll get more sun and I think it'll really shine back there. So this border behind me is mainly perennial flowers right now. I have some things like zinnias and basil growing, but where it's positioned, I'll just show you. It's not really the most ideal spot for a rose. So here in this border, I have so many things growing, but right where this rose is, right here, I have a dwarf mulberry tree, which is going to fill out this whole area, I'm hoping. I also have bee balm. I forgot the name for a second. I have salvia, and I have some tick seed growing in there alongside with some native pink salvia, some milkweed, and then so on and so forth down this whole border. But this little rose really just gets lost back here. So my original plan was to grow it up this bat box, but it's just getting too shrouded by everything else. So I'm going to trim it back, dig it up, and transplant it to the front yard. So I thought I'd just show you what I do real quick. I've already prepared a site in the front yard for it, so this should be a quick and simple process. So I apologize for the lighting because it is about 3 o'clock and the sun is quite harsh. I might get stung by a bee coming out here, but that's fine. So the first thing I want to do, and it might sound a little harsh, is I want to trim off a lot of the foliage from this rose. And that's because when I transplant it, I want it to develop strong roots, and as many leaves as I can take off, the roots just will be better off for it. So even though this is not in the best spot as far as full sun, it does get a lot of sun, so it has grown. It just hasn't grown as much as I'd like. So you'll see here, there's some new growth here, there's some new growth coming up here, but it's just not doing what it should. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to actually trim it back pretty far to a set of leaves, to a set of 5 or more leaves. So this is 1, 2, 3, 7 leaves. But that way I'm getting rid of a lot of the foliage, but it still has enough that it can photosynthesize. I don't think it even needs any foliage to really photosynthesize because roses do go dormant in the winter, but we're going to leave some of it because I think it'll be okay. So we're gonna trim back that. Okay, so now I've taken the rose back quite some ways. I might do a little more once I transplant it, but for now I'm just gonna go ahead and dig it up. So here's what I'm left with. It's not that great, and you'll see I did break off 2 big roots, but I have no doubt that it will be fine. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to defoliate this rose and give it the best chance of survival. So I'm basically just going to come in here and take off all of the leaves. So that way the roots don't have to support any of the leaves. It can just work on just reestablishing itself. And I think it will make for a happier rose. So if you get a rose, say you ordered a rose in the mail and they shipped it to you, they would send you what is called a bare root rose, and it would come without any leaves on it anyway. So really, this is just a natural process of what happens with roses. They lose their leaves. It is Florida, so they don't always lose their leaves, but it's not going to kill it. And some people might think, why am I going through the trouble for this tiny rose? But roses do have medicinal properties, and they're edible, just in general. And this one in particular actually does really well here in Florida. It doesn't get any of the diseases that normal roses do, and I don't even know the name of it, but it has like a maroon flower, and it's just really pretty. And it was gifted to me by a couple that had a local nursery that they sold native plants, and they grew these roses, and I thought it was just the nicest gesture. And yeah, and they're no longer in business, or else I would still be shopping there, but I just kind of want to treat this as, you know, a little gift that they gave me, and I don't want to just get rid of it. So I'm going to give it a new home. Alright, so this is it. Nothing to really write home about just yet, but you have to trust the process on this one. So I added some homemade compost to the planting hole, since this was grass and it was just bare Florida sand basically underneath it. I wanted to just enrich it a little bit. I did not add any fertilizer to the hole because I didn't want to burn the roots. I want to give it some time to actually leaf back out and establish itself. So, but basically this is it, and now we just keep it well watered, and then I'm going to come in and mulch it. I just need to get some mulch, and then yeah, we're just gonna wait. And I have this stake here. I don't know if I'm gonna hang anything on it or not, but the rose will be able to fill out this whole area. I think the rose is supposed to get pretty large, so I can't wait to see what it does. And now that it has its own space and room to breathe, I think it'll be a lot happier here. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna call it quits here before my phone overheats again. But yeah, so stay tuned for updates and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you later.